Good evening, guys. How you doing? This is the other tutorial. That's another assembly tutorial. This tutorial is going to be dealing with a shock assembly. On tutorial number 2, chapter 10, we worked with a bearing assembly, and this one's going to be shock assembly and how to put together more parts that that are usually not in the same phase or not in the same orientation. So today I will help you um, how to further build a better foundation for assembly. In case that you guys want to you have trouble with extracting the files that your professor has given you, please look at tutorial 2. That was actually my first tutorial. Probably in the video there's going to be a card on top that's going to direct you to that video that will show you how to download the file, how to extract the file, and how to set up your environment to begin the assembly if you have any issues. Okay, so let's get started. So this is going to be the assembly that we're going to try to achieve, and this is the tutorial in which the professor um, will give you to assemble. Okay, so let's get started. Let's open up a new, click on assembly, name it to whatever you want to name it, and click OK. Okay, so this is how your environment gonna look like. The first thing that we're going to do, we're gonna first make this our base, right? Now, when I say base, I mean our first object where everything is gonna be orientated. So every other object, every other let's say every other part is gonna be pertain to this object. This is gonna be the primary. So we're gonna do this one first, this one second, and then we're gonna make this washer, not the washer but the bearing, third, and then we're gonna make um, this object be on top of this object of the bearing. You'll see why, and then this fifth, and then all the other little tools are gonna proceed after everything is done. Okay. So we're gonna do this. So let's get started. So like I said, let's import that first object. If you don't see this on your folder, do not worry. This is the previous tutorial that I did. I already did it. Now I'm going to do it for you guys. If you don't see nothing, remember to click preview so you could know what you are selecting. So go on ahead and check. If you have any issues on, just zoom it in. So that's going to be our first object, the bracket. Okay? So you're going to click open. So the first object that you import in your assembly, you gotta constrain it. To fully constrain it, just click on this axis and this axis right here. Okay, fully constrained. First part already done. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do, we're gonna import file number 2. To use support. Okay. Very simply, move it up to the side. Doesn't have to be exact. Do not worry about exact. I just did that so you guys could see, a good orientation on what you're gonna do. So you know that this portion of this part has to enter that hole here. So they have to be really aligned. Their centers have to be aligned. And as I did on my previous tutorial, we're gonna go up placement. We're gonna click on this axis, right? And the axis of this circle. So what that meant, and if by any chance that it automatically does not do it coincident, go here and click coincident. Okay. What that does is it makes their axis centered. Now, again, like I explained on the previous tutorial, you don't want this object to go all the way through or eyeball it and try to put it together, by eyeballing it. You want it to be exact. So solution is you click on the new object. Automatically it will start making new constraint. You click on this face, and you want this face to stop exactly on top of this face, and it will put coincident. If it doesn't put coincident, or usually it leaves it as distance, just go here and put coincident, and it will lock in place. And there we did our U shape. You're gonna accept this. The next part that we're going to do is going to be the bushing. You're going to open it, move the bushing. You don't have to do this, from here. I'm going to do it. You could click, again, we want this axis to be in coincident with this axis. So when you put in the screw, it could go in with no obstruction. So I click on this axis, click on this axis. See, it says normal. You're going to click on coincident, and automatically it will do that for you. And since this bushing has to be within inside this U, we're going to click this face, hold on shift to move the object, and we're going to click this face. It's going to say distance, right, click on coincidence, so it stops exactly. You see? Then you could go here. We're going to add another bushing. You're going to do the same process. Axis, make them coincident. We're going to go to placement. We're going to flip it. Then after we flip it, we're going to click. We're going to say we want this face and this face to be coincident. Just put standard orientation so you guys can have it. Look. So both of them are put in place, right? Perfect. Then the next thing that we're going to add in would be the pivot. Okay? I'm going to click open. And again, we want the center of the circle to be right in center of this axis. Okay? And we're going to click on coincident. Okay, so all I'm doing is clicking on the center and center. So everything is already centered here, so just click on any of the axes that are centered and click on coincident. Okay, so now we're going to click on this face, and we're going to click inside of the face of the bushing, not the plate, because if you click on the plate, and you write coincident, by mistake, it's going to go all the way through. The bushing is a stop. In real life, if you were to print these parts, the bushing is to stop the pivot from touching that face. Okay, so we're going to go click Control Z. Let's say we did it by mistake. Control Z, we're going to go to placement. So that face is already selected. We're going to click the inside of the face of this bushing. Go here, click on this face, and we're going to write coincident. Because this part was dimensioned and everything was written, the person whoever did these parts was already to scale. Everything was modeled in actual distance. Everything should work fine. Okay, and it says here's fully constrained. You're gonna go on ahead and click OK. Now, for now, this is fine. Doesn't really matter, but you want it to look just as is, right? This is not looking the way we just modeled. This is looking with this on top. very simple workaround is we're gonna go back to this model. We're gonna go and edit definition, right? We're gonna go to placement and we're gonna add a new constraint. So we're gonna touch, we want this face to be in parallel with this face. Not normal, parallel. All I did is that they're not touching, but we want both faces to be, the direction. Let me draw it. Let's see if I can get a pen here. Right. So if this face is looking up, sorry, this is kind of squiggly. I'm using my mouse. We want this face to be also looking up as well. That is all the coincident is doing. The constraint is doing. Okay. So both constraints put together with the constraint type being parallel makes that both faces are looking up. Simple. That is all. Okay. Let's minimize that, and we're gonna accept that. Standard orientation. Simple, right? The next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna add the washers, then the screws. So let's add in the washers. So we're gonna go again. Gonna add the washers. Yeah, put it up. The washers could be hard to look to see the axis, but right here, you zoom in and you're gonna click on this axis. You want this axis and this axis to be what? As I always mention, coincident. Okay. I'm gonna click now. We're gonna add another constraint. You go on ahead and placement. I don't know what model you're using, what version of Parametric on CREO, but if you're using older models, probably it will not do this automatically. You can always click on placement, new constraint, click here, this face, and you want this face and this face to be coincident. And it will stop exactly, and everything will be centered. Okay. We're gonna accept that. We're gonna do another washer. Same thing. You don't want to waste time with moving that up. Simply click the center axis right here. I don't know if you guys might be able to see it, but that's the center line right there. Click on that center line. Zoom out. Click on this center line, and you want both of them to be constraint. Okay. Now we're gonna add another constraint. Coincident, I meant. Now we're gonna make this face and this face coincident to each other. So it'll be like the mirror option of this. Okay. And we're gonna accept that. So let me stop here for a couple seconds. So imagine this as if you actually building this object in real life. As you imagine in real life, place all parts together. Don't try to think of it as something too technical. Just do it as if you would have done in real life. The next thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna add the hexagonal bolt part. Okay. Keep it as it is. Just click on the axis. Okay. Again, everything should be centered. Click on both axes and click coincident. Okay. If by any chance on your monitor you don't have a high resolution monitors and everything, all of this planes are getting in the way, you just click here and hide all planes. Okay, or just hide everything. But if you do this, please click on the axis so you can see all axes. Okay, so now that we put the axis in coincident, we want this face and this face to be coincident as well. Okay, so everything is perfectly aligned, everything is centered, everything has constraints. Okay, we're gonna accept that. The next thing that we're going to add is the castle nut right here. Okay. Same thing as always. Click on the axis. Click on the axis. And we want, again, this axis. Doesn't matter which axis because all of them are centered. Click on this axis. Make them coincident. Right? Click on this face. And this face. And make them coincident. And we're going to accept. And we just did the hardest part. The last parts that we're going to add is the washer and the self-locking nut. So we're going to add another washer. We're going to go ahead. Sometimes the axis is hard to see. We click on the axis, zoom out. Click on this axis here. Make them coincident, right? I'm gonna add another constraint. We want this face and this face to be coincident. It added automatically. If it doesn't, go here and click coincident. Okay? And we're going to accept. The last part that we gotta add is the self-locking nut. Again, same process. We're gonna click on axis. We're gonna click on this on this axis. Excuse me. And we're gonna make them coincident. Let me drink a little water. Oh man. After we make the nut axis coincident, we're gonna make the face and this face coincident. And right now we have our object fully assembled. But the tutorial doesn't end here. Now the second part is that, okay, you created this part, but now the professor also wants you to show him an exploded view or exploded state of the assembly you just created, right? Again, very simple. We're gonna go on ahead and click manage views. Click explode, right? We're gonna click on new. Now, name it as assembled. I probably butchered that name, wrote it wrong, but make it assembled. Click edit position. Do not move anything, just click check and save it. Just in case that you want to go back to when it was fully assembled, you can. Because if you go by default, it will disassemble it, but not exactly as the professor wants you to do it. So this is your fully assembled. We're going to click another one. We're going to name it disassembled. Again, I probably wrote this wrong. Disassembled. And we're going to click it OK. And we're going to get edit position. Okay. So now what we're all going to do is just start disassembling the object. So let's start with the top part. We're going to go here. Go in reverse. You know, you could do this. Real simply. Actually, let's do it the way the professor did it. So he did this. Well, let me stop for a moment. Let me stop. I'm gonna go here, edit position. So we're gonna, when you wanna select multiple objects that you wanna move, you're gonna click Control and hold, and click all the objects that you wanna move. You know, there's the bushing, this part, this other washer, and this one. Okay. What we're gonna do, we're gonna move it up. Okay. Let's move it up a little more. There we go. Once we did that, now let's separate everything. pushing the screw, and we're gonna also do this. So as you can see, I selected all of them together, and then now I'm separating them. Okay, we can move this a little bit more out there. Okay, now we're gonna select this U shape. We're gonna move it up. We're gonna select this object here, move it down, and select this washer, move it down, move it down. Let's see how this looks like in standard orientation. Let's move this washer down so it could be seen. Once you have finished fully disassembling it, you're gonna click OK, right? And when you finish, don't just click close. You gotta go click on edit, save it. Then once you save it, right? Let's make sure it's saved. Once it's saved, you're done. You want to go back to assembled, fully disassembled. And then you could go on ahead, use your snipping tool, take a picture of the object assembled and disassembled, and put it on your homework and show your professor. Again, I hope that this tutorial has helped you understand more better assembly. Using the assembly is a great, powerful tool. And also when you're doing your senior project that you did a model or a 3D model composed of many parts, is a good way to show how all the models are put together. Okay. Again, leave a like or dislike. Please subscribe and leave any comments that you guys may have, so I could better serve you guys. Again, thank you for watching and have a nice night.